All right. Oh, hey guys. So anyway, we're going to continue with the storyboard. So what I want to do in this video, I didn't comb my hair, is I want to show even further how insane this storyboard is, okay? Okay, so we're going to continue to reference the AI response to my question, okay? My question was, if a person were to become a potential witness in a murder investigation, what would be the probability that shortly after becoming a potential witness, a death threat is received, and then a week after that, the home burns down, all within 2 weeks or less? What would be the probability of those things happening just being a coincidence? Okay, so we'll ask it again. I know this is kind of complicated, but in a way it's really not. So my question is, if I were to become a potential witness in a murder investigation, and then a couple days after realizing I'm a potential witness in a murder investigation, I get a death threat, and then a week or so after the death threat, the home I lived in burns to the ground, along with the neighboring 4-bedroom house and a 2,000 plus square foot storage building. What would be the probability or likelihood of those things all just being a coincidence? And that's what I asked AI. And that is literally what happened to me. And AI's response was that it would be an extremely low likelihood that a person who is a potential witness in a murder investigation would receive a death threat within 24 to 48 hours of finding out, and then a week or so after that, their home burning down. The probability of getting a death threat and one's home burning down within 2 weeks or less of finding out they're a potential witness in a murder investigation would be extremely low. And AI follows it up by saying, likely it would be less than 1 in a million chance that those things happening to a person who is a potential witness in a murder investigation. It would be a less than a 1 in a million chance that a person who is a potential witness in a murder investigation would receive a death threat 24 to 48 hours after finding out they're a witness, and then a week later their home burning down. The likelihood of it all just being a coincidence would likely be less than 1 in a million. Okay, so I want to flesh this out some more, because I want to bring up at least a point or two here. And the main one being that the fire was investigated. Okay? Now, what AI is saying is that was arson. There's likely less than 1 in a million chance that was not arson. So even though it's likely less than 1 in a million chance that wasn't arson, the fire department claims they did an investigation, and the results of their investigation claim that it was not arson, that it was an electrical fire, okay? So what the fucking fire department's report is that even though it would be less than 1 in a million chance that this is not arson, nonetheless, The fire department's investigation ruled it to not be arson anyways, even though it would be less than 1 in a million chance that it was arson, dude. See, imagine being in my fucking shoes. And then imagine no one listening to you, because all anybody wants to listen to is Crow House telling you about the baby's body parts flying all over the place in fucking Israel, in a galaxy far, far away. Imagine being in my shoes, where the fire department tells you that even though it's likely less than 1 in a million chance that fire was not arson, nonetheless, the fire department did an investigation and found in their investigation that it was not arson. Mind you, this is in a town out in the middle of nowhere with like at most 1,500 person population. So now we're going back to the murder investigation, because that's what this is all about. Todd Minshall's death was under investigation. The cop told me, I'm not on that case, someone else is. I had to talk to the cop at least 2 more times after that within the week. And the cop said the same thing in the exact same words 2 times. Because I brought it up again. When I talked to him again, I said, look, this looks real to me. I am concerned for my fucking life at this point. And I need to know details, like when was his body found? Because I could be getting, I don't want to, if he did get murdered, they could possibly be trying to frame me. So I'm trying to figure out what the date was that he died, because I think I was in Texas when he died. I think I showed up back like the day or 2 after his body was found. So I'm trying to find out when the fucking body was found. And I'm trying to find out what caliber of bullet was in his head, because I own a gun. And if they are trying to frame me and my girlfriend is involved, then they could have used my gun. You know? And so I'm very concerned, plus the death threat. I just want to get some information. And the cop had just told me that I'm not on that case, somebody else is. When I started pleading, I said, look, bro, this is no fucking joke, right? And so then I asked him, I told him again, I need to get information. And as I tell him that, his game face drops. And I could see him kind of looking away and almost feeling ashamed of what a pussy he is. And he looks at me and he says, look, he says, you could put in a request with the department, a request of information with the department. But they're not going to give you anything because it's under investigation. So 3 fucking times the cop, and I said, look, and then I go, look, bro, you're telling me it's under investigation. I just looked online. I can't find any information at all about his death or anything. And the only thing that showed up online was the police department's public statement that said, there is a rumor of a dead body or bodies having been found in the desert. We just want to let the town know these are only rumors. There's no need for concern, and that people need to stop spreading these rumors. So the police department's public statement to the town regarding this specific death, they told the entire town that it was rumor, no body was found in the desert, and that, there's no need for concern that there might be a murderer walking around, and that people need to stop spreading these rumors. This was the police department's public statement. And so then I told him that. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You got the whole town believing nothing happened. And here you're telling me that it is under investigation. Like, what the fuck? I'm being gaslit here. And then he says, well, you said you got some job coming up in Texas? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are you going to go? And I said, dude, I'm fucking having a nervous breakdown. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's up and what's down right now. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck. And he's like, well, you need to go to this job because you and this girl need to stay away from each other. And I'm like, fine. You've made up my mind. I didn't know whether to go or not. I drive a forklift. I've moved thousands of pounds of material. I'm putting people's lives, including my own, at risk by being on a fucking forklift moving thousands of pounds of shit around while I'm having a fucking nervous breakdown because of all this shit with the murder investigation and shit. And he's like, well, you need to go to this job, dude. He's like, when is it? I said, well, I have to leave tomorrow. And he goes, that's what you need to go do this job. You need to get out of here, dude. So I'm like, fine. So I left the next day in the middle of a fucking nervous breakdown. And then I wasn't even gone a week when the whole place burnt down. And this is what else is interesting. None of them knew that I was out of town because they were trying to tell everybody in town that I started the fire. So they didn't even know I wasn't in town. And they were telling it publicly telling people I started the fire. So they didn't even know I was out of town. It was arson. Dude, that it wasn't arson is less than a 1 in a million chance that wasn't arson. So, and then here's the other thing. So the cop telling me this is under investigation. Well, guess what? There's never been any conclusion. Nobody knows to this day. And I'm talking 3.5 years later. And everybody that knows has inside information on how this police department functions, who is this the police department, who are these people that run the police department, etc., etc. They all say the same thing. They all say they never did an investigation. They never did a real investigation. They just swept it all under the rug, which is exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. So they just put on paper that they did an investigation so that if there's any oversight, like looking into the town, is the police department doing their job here, then it'll show on paper, oh yeah, we've been investigating this guy's death. They never did a real investigation. It was a fake investigation to sweep it all under the rug and hope that everybody just forgets about it. Including the fire investigation, like I said, it would be less than a 1 in a million chance that was not fucking arson. And so, by the fire department ruling that it was not arson, is basically telling me and anyone else who might look into it that fire was just a coincidence. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It was just a coincidence, even though the likelihood of that coincidence happening would be likely less than 1 in a million, dude. And none of this has been resolved to this fucking day. For all I know, I have a hit on me. And the people who would carry it out are patiently waiting for the best opportunity to take me out. Because as you can see, I'm not shutting up. And was it 3 or 4 days ago, I just found out more information. I'm telling you, the fucking videos I did 2 days ago about the fire. Dude, like, look at the fucking fire scene now. It is totally illegal. It is totally obvious. They didn't do a fucking investigation. They didn't do anything. And now, after the fire happened that they claim was a fucking electrical fire, now it's an even bigger electrical hazard than it was back when the fire happened. No code enforcement was done. And it was us living there was illegal. We knew the electrical wasn't up to code. It was illegal for us even living there. and there was never any code enforcement to fix the electrical. There was never any kind of like nothing. And now instead of 3 RVs living on the property, which was what it was when I was there, me, my girlfriend, Hank and Bonnie, and Tommy and Tina, now instead of 3 RVs, there's fucking 9! And the fucking electric, you could see the extension cords running from all these fucking 9 fucking RVs all running to that same power source. And that power box sits right next to where the fire happened, dude. It's obvious they didn't do any fucking fire investigation. They didn't do jack shit. And the only way for me to get any fucking justice in any of this is if I had money to hire private investigators, because the police won't do their job. Surprise? Oh, there's a news story. The police not doing their job. So the only way for me to get some kind of real investigation, which the police's job is to do, is just to fucking pay out of pocket and hire a private fucking investigator. Am I going to get reimbursed even if I did do that? Am I going to get reimbursed if they investigate and they find it was a murder and a death threat and an arson and fucking blah, blah, blah? The whole thing that this whole town went out of their way to cover up. If I hire a private investigator to crack it open and he finds that it's all true, am I going to get fucking reimbursed? And if so, how do I do that? Well, then I have to hire an attorney to sue the fucking city. And then that's going to take years and years of all this shit. And eventually, maybe 20 years from now, I'll get reimbursed. But then I got to pay for attorney fees on top of private investigator. No fucking justice, dude. There is no... This is a lawless place. Not just where I live, this whole country. If this is happening to me, dude, this is happening every fucking where. Everywhere! And who fucking cares? You see anybody give a fuck about anything at all, except for global genocide and a global scamdemic and global pandemic and babies' body parts flying in Pakistan in a galaxy far, far away. That's all anybody cares about, is something happening way far away. And it's a global new world order takeover, and interdimensional beings are flying through CERN. Dude, nobody gives a fuck about anything. The clown world is so far, far beyond measurement at this point. It used to be funny. 4 or 5 years ago, people joking about clown world and shit used to be funny. Now it's not at all funny. It is like, dude, it is so far beyond measure and so far beyond repair. What is coming next? I'm telling you, if this is happening to me, it's happening everywhere. Only just to everyday people like me, not to big influencers like Richie from Boston. Fucking what a pussy, Richie from Boston. He's always got his cameras pointing at the sky and he can't get one fucking good footage of UFOs. Dude, I seen fucking tons of UFOs. Never got any footage. Who would listen to me if I got it anyways? Nobody. Dude, this whole so whatever. Anyways, it's a likely less than a 1 in a million chance that what I'm saying, if it is true, was all just coincidence, and there was no, and it was just an electrical fire, and he just committed suicide. But again, the murder investigation, they've never come out and said, yep, it's been determined that he committed suicide. Yeah, never. There is no you know how when people die there's an obituary for them, and that there's information where you can, no information on, it's just like, yeah, this guy died and it was really sad and his wife and stuff and people cared about him. It's like 3 sentences, nothing about how he died. Nobody. Dude, I'm fucking on fire. Dude, I can't let this go. I cannot let it go. Like I said, I just asked Brave Engine browser's artificial intelligence that question 2 days ago. And it's saying that what I'm describing, the chances of the situation I'm describing just being a coincidence is likely less than 1 in a million. And so if it's not coincidence, then that means it's all true. Don't you understand this? If it's not coincidence, then everything that happened the reason is obvious. Because there was a murder and they're trying to cover it up, scrambling desperately to cover it up any way they can, including putting out death threats and committing arson. And then putting out reports that even though that's likely less than a 1 in a million chance that fire was arson, well, guess what? It wasn't arson. The investigators did an investigation and found that even though it's likely less than a 1 in a million chance that fire was even though it's likely less than 1 in a million chance that fire was not arson, even though that's the case, that it would be less than 1 in a million chance that fire wasn't arson, well, guess what the great investigators found out? That less than 1 in a million chance of it not being arson is what it was. It was just an electrical. I can't believe it. Anyways, okay. All right. I'm out.